You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K24. Myself, Mamouti, alongside me as always, the three-time NBA champion, Mr. BJ Armstrong. How are you doing, my brother?
Oh, it's beautiful, Mo. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day. And I see the excitement on your face, the excitement. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I have been given a new task. I'm unlocking Mo's expertise. I'm unlocking Mo's expertise today about trades and rumors and all of the things. He's so excited. I wish, well, you can see how
Well,
excited he
well,
is today.
well, you and I, BJ, we spoke about after we finished recording the last episode, we were speaking about the Rockets. And I said that the Rockets should make a move for Clint Capella. And then they can play Sengun at the four and have a big
Right.
body next to him who can do all the shot blocking and the dirty work on defense. And Ime Udoka must have my phone tapped because they went out and traded for a big man. The only problem is the big man they traded for is not available this season. So this is a move looking ahead to next season. The Memphis Grizzlies traded Steven Adams to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Victor Oladipo and 3 second-round picks. I think that's what I got written down. Um,
Okay.
for the Memphis Grizzlies, obviously this season's a write-off with no John Morant, and they get 3 draft round picks, and then they get a lot of salary flexibility because they're going to have the chance to get a very high pick in this year's draft because they're tanking away the season. So they're going to have to pay him. And then they're going to really try and make a run at being a contender. So they want that salary flexibility. And with Steven Adams being out for this season, I think they must be saying to Jaren Jackson, you're going to have to learn how to play the five
Mm-hmm.
because they're
Mm-hmm.
moving on from Steven Adams. Now, I think Adams is a great pickup for Houston because Şengün's already there dominating. However, if you can then play him at the four and Adams at the five, then that just adds you so much more toughness to your squad. You can get someone who can control the painted area. He's not a prolific shot blocker, but his presence being there can deter opponents. He hits some hard fouls. He also helps the guard play in Houston because he's one of the best screen setters that they have over there in the NBA right now. And of course, he's a prolific offensive rebounder and a defensive rebounder too. One of the best rebounders we have in the league. He had what 12 and a half, 12.5 million owed to him for next season.
Mm-hmm.
And by removing him, the Memphis Grizzlies, I believe they moved down 1 tier in terms of the salary aprons. And then
Okay.
they've also created, I believe, a trade exception in doing this deal. So a financial move for Memphis, a future move for the Houston Rockets because Oladipo was never part of their plans anyway. What are your thoughts on this? Because I like it.
Well, clearly it's a financial move, right? They're maneuvering money around. So, transactional trade.
Yeah, for
Oladipo is not
Memphis.
playing for both teams. I don't know if Steve Adams hasn't played now in a couple years.
I mean, he played last year.
How many games
So
did he play?
last year, how many games did Steven Adams play? Let me have a look. Um, he played 42 games in 2022, 2023.
Okay. So if this works out and Steven Adams is able to come back, I think this will be a very beneficial trade for the Houston Rockets. And here's why. I love the fact that teams now are beginning to load up on bigs because everyone is beginning to understand that the bigs, in particular Jokic and Embiid, when he's healthy, that you're going to need big people to get through the playoffs. So I love this way of thinking. I think the game now is coming back truer to its form where you're going to need bigger bodies and bigger people. Now, he's not a shot blocker. However, he is tough. So I think he fits Coach Udoka's personality. I think he provides them a physicality that you're going to have. And he has terrific size. He's one of the strongest, many players will say he's the strongest guy in the NBA. So I like the trade. And I like the fact that, if Oladipo can come back, look, they'll have a player um, and they'll be able to fit that in what they're trying to do down there in Memphis. So I think it works for both teams. It'll be interesting to see Because if Steven Adams is healthy, that's a big if.
Mm-hmm.
If Steven Adams is healthy, I can see this really being a really nice trade where you can get a big guy who can, really, as I like to say, he can defend the interior space. And I like the fact that he will give them a level of physicality that you're going to need, especially in the Western Conference, because Jokic is going to be there. Now you're seeing, Towns and Rudy Gobert over there in Minnesota. So, Valanciunas and Zion, those are big guys. So, I love the fact, Mo. It just adds to my fuel, which is to see 10 7-footers on the floor at one time.
Well, I think, BJ, the first time you're going to see that will actually be in an All-Star game in maybe 5 to 10 years. Because if you can handpick the All-Stars, you can pick 7-foot guys all across. But this year, the All-Star reserves have now been announced.
Oh, just and I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed, Mo. I got a lot to go. I got a lot.
All right. Just to catch up anyone who's missed it this week, the starters for the Eastern Conference, Giannis, Embiid, Tatum, Haliburton, and Lillard. The stars for the West, LeBron, KD, Jokic, Doncic, and Shea. And now we're going to be joined by the All-Star reserves who have been selected. First-time selections for Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, and Paolo Banchero, who will be joining Donovan Mitchell, Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle, and Bam Adebayo in the Eastern Conference. And over in the West, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Devin Booker, and Karl-Anthony Towns, and Anthony Edwards. Those are the All-Star players. BJ, okay. You got something to say? Go ahead.
Yes, I really do. I really do. This is where the business and basketball come together. And very rarely do I even, I'm as our listeners know, I'm all about the game. I'm all about in between the lines. I'm all about it. But however, this is an event where you showcase the best basketball and the best entertainment. Must-see TV in the NBA right now is Victor Wembanyama. There's no way that Victor should not be playing in the All-Star game.
That's a fact.
Okay? Victor Wembanyama is the most fascinating player right now in the NBA. And the fact that we are not highlighting and showcasing must-see TV. This young man, every single night, he does something we've never seen before. On the defensive end, on the offensive end, and Mo, he's doing this in 26, 27 minutes a night. It's truly, he's a phenomenon. We need the fans, we need a separate game to just watch him.
Well, they have the rookie sophomore game.
He should, but he is playing at an elite level against all-star players. He's doing this versus Giannis.
Yep.
Embiid.
Yep.
He's playing against the very best players, and he's doing incredible things.
And let me add to that.
Yes.
Everyone complains that guys don't compete in the All-Star game. And I guarantee you, if you put that kid in the game, he's going to compete harder. I'm not saying play better. I'm saying he's going to compete harder than anyone else on that roster.
We need Victor Wembanyama in the All-Star game. We need him in the game. He is the future. He is going to be, if he's healthy, he will be one of the greatest players of all time.
Ever walk this earth.
Okay. He should be in the All-Star game. He should be in the All-Star game because it's time for him. It's time for the league. It's time for everyone who is a fan of the NBA. Let's showcase, they say the greatest. Well, he is one of the greatest. You can't tell me that there are 23 other guys or 24 other guys that's better than him in the NBA right now.
I have a rule when it comes to this, BJ. If you're going to say who should be an All-Star, you got to pick someone who should be replaced. So looking at that Western Conference, whose spot should he be taking?
Well, Victor Wembanyama should be one of the guys, right? I'm not here to however they did it, but Victor Wembanyama should be in the game.
Tell me a name you would swap for him.
Well, let's look at the names. Let's look at the names. Okay, clearly he's not a guard. So you got Devin Booker, you got Steph Curry. Okay, but you can't tell me that Paul George, Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis, and these guys.
Hey, I'd rather watch Victor Wembanyama than any of those guys.
congratulations to everyone that made it. But Victor Wembanyama should be in the All-Star game. That's a fact. He is next, and it is time for our league to get this guy and prepare him for what comes with being the best player in the league, because he's going to be the best player in the league, and it's time. So I think this is a missed opportunity to begin the process of transitioning this league over to one of the great talents. He's one of the great talents, without question. And I think I'm really disappointed that he wasn't named to the All-Star team. No, and all respect and congratulations to everyone that made it. But Victor Wembanyama should be in the All-Star game.
Yeah, I tweeted about this recently, and guys said to me, that's not fair because he's not been one of the top 10 best bigs in the league this season, whatever. That's your opinion. That's cool. But they've had All-Star games where they've included legacy players who weren't performing at an All-Star level. So even if your argument is he's not playing at the same level as Anthony Davis right now, well, that's not the precedent that the All-Star game is set. The All-Star game is about entertainment. They had the game where they put in Dirk Nowitzki and Dwayne Wade when they were on their last legs. No one had a problem with that. I'd rather see Wemby. I'd rather see Wemby in there because he's giving you at least 10 highlight plays. Now, he's giving you highlight plays against NBA defenses. Imagine what he can do in an All-Star game when there ain't no one playing defense on him.
I just think this is a missed opportunity for the fans, because we need to see him. We need to see the very best. He is in that conversation, and it gives him an opportunity to begin to see what it's going to take to be the very best. And he's played to that level this year. Now, I know we can make the argument he hasn't won. Yes, that is true. However, what he's doing, when you watch this man play, you're like, wow, did you see that? I mean, his highlights for half of the year is like, it's some of the best highlights I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got a 7-footer doing the sham god in traffic.
He's not making players. He's blocking everyone's shot. He's catching blocks out of the air. So I don't even know if it's steals or blocks at this point.
This, to me, I just want to say it. Victor Wembanyama should be in the All-Star game.
Well, Joel Embiid and Julius Randle may miss the All-Star game with injuries, so they are going to be replaced. However, they're in the Eastern Conference, so Wemby can't take one of their spots. Who in the Eastern Conference that's not on the list do you see taking those spots? The names being floated out right now: Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, Miles Turner, surprisingly, and I believe the other one was Trae Young.
You know who I've kind of watched this year, I think, is Scotty Barnes.
Mm-hmm. I like that. He's taking a huge leap in his game.
I think Scotty Barnes should be in this conversation.
Yep. I also think Jarrett Allen could be in this conversation too.
Jarrett Allen could be in the conversation based on how he's performed in the first half of the season. But I think Scotty Barnes, to me, and what he's done and the responsibility he has accepted up there in Toronto, I think he's ready to take on that responsibility. So if there's one name that I would like to see added to the list, it would be Scotty Barnes.
Yep.
As a young player.
You can have two names added to the list.
Yes.
Because we've got Julius Randle, who's going to miss the All-Star game with his dislocated shoulder. But also, the other big news from yesterday is that Joel Embiid has suffered a meniscus injury, and he's going to be reevaluated over the weekend. But it is not sounding good for the Philadelphia 76ers. They're finalizing a treatment plan for him. But if he is going to miss a significant stretch, let's say he can come back for the playoffs, do you still think that the Sixers can compete in the Eastern Conference?
Well, look, he's crucial to their success moving forward. Now, being in this business, you have short-term goals. You have goals that you're trying to accomplish during the course of the season as you're getting through the regular season, and then you have long-term goals. Joel Embiid is an interesting case study because he came into this league. He was injured when he came into the league.
Yep.
Joel Embiid, when he's healthy, there's nothing. He's one of the top 2 or 3 players in the entire world.
Yeah.
You can argue he's playing the best right now in the NBA when he's healthy. You can argue that right now.
Yeah. Fair play.
Okay. However, right now, what I'm concerned about, Mo, is when you're that big and you're carrying that type of weight. I mean, he's got to be every bit somewhere around 300 pounds, every bit, as a 7-footer. Now you have to look out for his health and best interests. And it may be in his best interest, not the interest of the fans, not the interest of saying what's best for this team right now, presently, but it may be in his best interest to just get fully healthy and start again. And the reason I say that, Mo, is because if he comes back, and let's say he is 85%, okay, I'll take that all day long. However, that puts him at risk of doing something else.
Yeah.
Because this is a big man. And the way he plays, Mo, I mean, he's a little reckless sometimes.
Understatement, but yeah.
Okay. So I think for the Sixers is to take a wide view of the scenario and say, what's in the best interest for the organization and Joel moving forward to get him healthy? Because when he's healthy, you have one of the top 2-3 players in the world. When he's not healthy, things can happen like what you just saw happen. It's a freak thing,
and
right?
It's a freak accident. Someone fell on his leg. I think it was like Kaminga who fell and landed on his leg. So he was carrying like a little knock, but it wasn't even that. That's the injury. It's a new injury.
But clearly something was there.
Yeah.
Something
was
there.
Hobbling.
Something was there. So you look, do what's in the best interest of what you do. Every organization is different. Joel knows his body better than anyone. However, being in this business as long as I've been, having multiple knee surgeries myself, all right? I mean, I've had over 5 or 6 of these myself. You know, it's always a little meniscus tear. It's like a minor surgery on someone else. No, surgery is surgery. I don't care what kind of surgery it is. Surgery is surgery. And nothing's ever minor. Nothing's ever just I'm just going to do a little cleanup job. Well, no, that's not how it works. Okay, it's a cleanup job where you just got to, walk around. But these guys are running and jumping, stopping, traveling all over.
Well, even that, I have a torn meniscus, and even walking up and down stairs is very painful.
Yes. So I just want him to take a big shot view of what's going on and get him healthy. Because year 10 now? What is this, like year 10, year 11, somewhere around right now? He's right in the thick of his career. And it's not like he's trying to get better or whatever. He's in the thick and the heart of his career as far as production. I don't know if he can play any better.
He's in his prime. He's turning 30. He missed the first 2 seasons. He's played 8 seasons since then.
So I think you possibly just say, you know what? Because you don't want him out there anything less than 100%, because it puts him at risk. You put him at risk. That's a big man. So, but that would be my take on it. That just experiences, taught me you don't know where people at mentally, but more importantly, you just want him to be 100% fully engaged and healthy when he's out there playing, because we all benefit from that.
Yeah, and
but it's
you don't want
unfortunate
him to be out there hesitating on things because he's not
especially
fully comfortable, like turning down certain shots because he's worried about how he's going to land. So, yeah, I hope he gets healthy soon. I've enjoyed watching him when he does play. But it's Friday, BJ, and I feel like we usually answer fan questions. There's just one fan question for you today from Paul.
Okay.
He has a question for Mr. BJ Armstrong. Your Bulls days are well known, but what's something interesting about another team that you played for?
What's something interesting?
Just something that people might not know about one of the other teams, whether it's the Hornets, the Magic, the Warriors, something else from your career. Little story for us to end this week on the podcast.
Wow, what's something that's interesting? One of the greatest places I've played, one of the greatest cities, right? We always talk about what happens on the court, but like no one ever asked me what happens off the court.
Hey, I thought you can't talk about that.
Well, there's some things you can talk about. Out of all the places I've lived, San Francisco,
Mhm.
okay, San Francisco was one of the greatest regions. I mean, the whole Bay Area is just spectacular.
Which part of San Francisco did you live in, though?
I lived in San Francisco.
Oh, okay, so not across the water, and you lived in.
Yeah, I lived in the city, and we were playing in Oakland. And every day, every day, I would cross that Bay Bridge. And it was just so living in Chicago, I grew up in Detroit. I went to school in Iowa. And, during the winter, it's just, it's snowing, it's gray out. And every day I would cross that Bay Bridge. And I just couldn't, it was just the most amazing. It would put me in the greatest mood. And there was a lot of traffic, but I was going against the traffic. I was going into
the
Oakland.
boat that Klay Thompson takes across the water.
No, I'm from Detroit. I love to drive. And I still smile every single time I cross the Bay Bridge because it just reminded me of one of the most beautiful moments. It was like a beautiful moment in my career that every single day I got a chance. I would go to practice. Okay. And I'll share this with our listeners. And I bought myself a convertible. I loved it.
Okay, are you flexing out there?
Huh? No.
Which one was it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But I had a convertible.
Okay.
But I remember every single day, I would just smile to myself and how lucky I was that I was going to work, crossing the Bay Bridge in a convertible, going to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was feeling really good, I would drive back home because I lived in the city. I would drive all the way around like to Marin County and I would cross back on the other side on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, wow.
It brought so much joy to me. And when I go to the Bay Area, our oldest son goes to school out there. And we have this little saying in our house, the Bay Area was good to me. And my son now, my oldest, he says that to me now that he's going to school out there. He's a senior, he's graduating. And he always says, Dad, the Bay Area has been good to me. And I was like, hey, it's a generational thing. That's my story.
BJ, you and I went there for the NBA Finals.
Yes.
And I love
the Bay.
I had a really disappointing experience, right? While we were there, you don't know this. While we were there, three times I went to go and see the Golden Gate Bridge. And all three times there were so many clouds, I did not see it once.
Oh, wow.
I went all the way there and I went all the way home. The Bay was still good to me in other ways. So shout out to the Bay Area.
I love the Bay. You know what? The Bay, for anyone who's visiting the United States for the first time, make sure that you put that on that's one of the places.
It's changed a bit now, though. The homeless problem's got kind of crazy. I hope they can come up with some housing and stuff.
Yeah, it's an amazing, just an amazing region. And we would play golf. Then you could go up to and you could ski down there, and you can the wine country. You have Big Sur. It's just phenomenal. The whole Bay Area, it's just a great area. And if you live up there, I mean, how lucky are you to live up there? And I had a chance to do it for like 2.5 years.
I can see why those guys in Golden State don't want to leave.
Yeah, I always say this. It would have been unfair if I would have won there, like, because it's so. And I look at these guys who have one up there. I go, yeah, that's just unfair. That's just not.
Living life to the max.
And now they play in San Francisco. So how lucky are those guys?
Yep.
And Oakland was great. But, I want to say this about Oakland. There's every fan base always says they're the best fan base, right? You go to the city, they're the best fans. They're the best fans. I've always wanted to say this. If I have 2 minutes, just 2 minutes.
Of course.
Without question, the New York fan base to me is they're the greatest fan base because they're so knowledgeable of the game. They're just knowledgeable of the game, and I love the fact that they just talk crazy to you, and then after the game they'll be like, "Hey, BJ, hey, great job," and I've always respected them about that. The Celtics fans, they truly just don't like you. No, it's not even like you go in there score 50. And you know what? If you're not wearing green,
Yep.
And they can get a little hostile there. But I respect them because, they root for their guys. They root for the guy. But one of the most underrated fan bases, I think, was the Oakland fan base. And I really enjoy the Oakland Coliseum. I enjoy the fan base. Now it's a different fan.
I was going to say this. At the NBA Finals, there was a day and night difference between the Celtics arena and the Warriors arena. Day and night, about 50 decibels difference in terms of the sound.
Since they started winning, there's a different fan base there now.
But it's just the people with money now because the tickets are crazy expensive. Let's just call it what it is.
Business is business. However, Oakland, I'm talking Oakland, they have an amazing fan base. And I got a chance to experience that fan base. And it was one of the more, it just fit my personality. I love playing there. They love their basketball. And that's one of the places that I miss. I really miss that fan base that was there, because now when I go to the arena now, and you and I were there in the Chase, I mean, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's one of the nicest arenas I've ever seen.
But everyone from the previous era, they understand this when you say Oakland, and you know what that means, and everyone knows what that means. So that's one of my stories here that I really enjoyed my time in the Bay Area. Incredible food. As you know, I love food. So the food in the Bay, the culture in the Bay, and one of my favorites, the music in the Bay. I can still remember Mo crossing the Bay, playing Tupac and Digital Underground and all of that music in the 90s, Mo. E40, Too Short. Mm-hmm. It was just the right time. You know what I mean? Whenever I hear, Too Short and these guys right now, I always think of my time in the Bay, because the Bay was good to me. It was good to me. I got nothing but love for the Bay.
Hey,
so you brought back. Thanks for asking that question, because
Paul.
what? Paul, I appreciate you for asking that. That was great. And I just wish I could have won a championship out in the Bay, just to experience, the full experience of the Bay.
All right. That's another week of the Hoop Genius podcast. We appreciate you guys for rocking with us. We'll be back on Monday. Scott Perry will be back in the house, so don't miss the episode. Make sure you subscribe. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast from. And until next time, enjoy your weekends and get buckets.